Tom Danielson, a professional cyclist since 2003, hasn't always had the easiest time with the sport. His abilities were not holding him back, his vision was. It wasn't until Tom discovered the Visian ICL procedure that he reached his full potential, both visually and athletically. 2 years ago, he was the top finishing American in the Tour de France, and he finished 8th overall. So Tom, tell me a little bit more about how you became a professional cyclist.
Well, I always dreamed of doing something in my life, and finally found cycling and went off to college in Durango, Colorado at Fort Lewis, and there found road bikes, and that really enabled me to capitalize on my climbing ability, and ever since then just been setting goals and achieving them.
You are competing at the very highest levels here.
Yeah, within cycling there's many different levels. There's 18 World Tour teams, and we compete in the biggest events in the world, like the Tour de France and USA Pro Cycling Challenge in Colorado, or the Amgen Tour California. So we're all around the world and competing at the highest level of the sport.
Now, for many years, you were having to correct your vision with contacts or glasses. And while you were training for all these races and becoming a better cyclist, what was it like in those days where you had to wear the contacts and the glasses to correct your vision?
As long as I know riding a bike, I had a pair of glasses or contacts on or in. So it became a pretty stressful situation, and not only did I have to worry about the elements of the race and my competitors, but I had to worry about whether or not I had spare contacts and whether or not they'd stay in my eyes. And in the worst case, if my eyes get so irritated from the dry eye, whether or not I'd be able to put contact in the next day. So a lot of stress for something that probably, if I could eliminate, would be great.
So you began looking for ways to correct vision, and naturally one of the first things you looked at was LASIK.
Every year I'd go in the off season and I'd wait until the absolute, probably a few days before I had to start training again for the next year, and I'd say, hey, I'm okay, I'm ready to get LASIK, and they would say, well, actually, you have to be without your contacts for a month before we can even see or whether or not we can do LASIK. And by the time we finally went forward with it, there was plenty of time, and had my contacts out for a month, and they kept looking at my eyes, and there was a few things with my eyes that they thought maybe I wasn't the best candidate for LASIK. So I went back to them and I said, could you guys do some research and look around and see if there's any other options for me? And they did, and they came back to me and they said, well, we found something that actually is perfect for you, and too bad we didn't stumble upon it a long time ago, because this really looks like the best option for you. And that was the Visian ICL. So the next day they were like, well, let's get going on this, and I said, sounds great to me. So that next day went in and I did a 5-hour ride in the morning in the cold, harsh climate of Colorado, and that evening had surgery on my eyes, and the next morning got up and rode another 5 hours. So I was obviously pretty stoked on that.
Yeah. That's one of the great things about Visian is lead time in. Patients can stay in their contacts up until really almost right up until surgery. And the recovery time is really quick. And it sounds like you recovered very fast. You're riding literally the next day.
Yeah, the next, not even 12 hours after my operation.
Yeah. Now that the implants are in, what do you think of the vision? How's the vision been?
What amazed me is I was actually seeing better than I had with contact lenses, which was sort of unbelievable to me. And as I started to experience more with the Visian, I noticed that certain things it was almost like I was seeing in HD. It was like certain colors became more vibrant. It was pretty exciting, and I think the best feeling, really honestly, was getting up in the morning and being able to see my alarm clock. And then I've got 2 kids, and at the time I had 1 kid, and they get up in the middle of the night and constantly change diapers and stuff, and it was pretty cool to just pop out of bed and just see exactly where I'm going and just change my life completely.
And that's really been the experience for us too with our patients. It's day-to-day life. Things like getting up out of bed in the morning and seeing that alarm clock, or being able to go take care of their kids in the middle of the night. These are the little things that really make their life easier, better, now that they've had the implants. You kind of take things to the next level. You had a great story earlier today about your ride out in Colorado.
Yeah, when we talk about perfect eyesight, of course it's nice to be able to see these visions and the images but how does that really win bike races? And I got to experience it this year in the Queen stage in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge in Aspen, and I had been on the attack all day and was doing a race performance that I had never done in my career, never experienced anything like that. And the race finishes on a crazy descent down Independence Pass, and I had been on the bike for 6 hours, racing as hard as I can, and blood sugar was super low, and you know, I had to do the descent in my life to win the race, and eyesight and vision was obviously critical. You know, your brain not having to work that little bit more. You know, if you can see where you're going and you can see things, you're not even thinking about it. You can just 100% concentrate on your effort, everything that you need to do to stay ahead. You know, we get in these crazy aero tucks and put your head on your handlebars and you're just looking, you're squinting just this little bit over the top of the handlebars, and the fact that you know, my eyes weren't all dried out and they weren't all painful and red and all blurry because of irritation. You know, I could see crisp clear the road where I was going, and I had 100% confidence that I was taking the safest and best lines, even though, you know, I was operating on just a tiny bit of blood sugar and of course the exhaustion from racing as hard as I did all day. Yeah, so, you know, at the end I ended up winning the race by 2 seconds, and if you add up, you know, 2 seconds and a 6 hour stage, you know, that what percentage of 6 hours is 2%. I mean, I'm not a math major, but it's not a whole lot. So, you know, to be able to go back and quantify that, you know, it's got to come from my eyes.
You know, cycling is a really tough, grueling sport. You have to endure a tremendous amount of pain, physical pain, mental pain, and most people aren't up to that. Surgically, you know, what was it like to get the surgery done? Most people want to make sure that this is going to be comfortable. They're not going to have to go through pain during the surgery. What was your experience like? What could you say to someone who's thinking about the surgery, but they're saying, "Well, I'm really worried this is going to hurt"?
Surgery is a big word, and of course, you know, you could say, like, have you ever had surgery? Yeah, some people have had, you know, teeth removed. That's also surgery, you know, and this is just surgery on your eye. And, it's a pretty awesome operation, and it wasn't painful. It was really simple. It wasn't stressed at all. And like I said, if I can go on a 5-hour ride before and after, it's a pretty simple surgery.
You know, you could have had LASIK, you could have had PRK, you chose the Visian. And one thing we talked about earlier is the fact that it's such a great technology that you've actually gone out and are encouraging people to choose the Visian simply because of its advantages.
Very few times do you get to be sort of a person or an athlete, you know, doing something in the public eye and come across something first. And I feel like with the Visian, you know, here I am, a professional cyclist, and I would like to think I'm probably one of the first guys, at least a professional athlete, and definitely a professional cyclist that has come across this. So it's kind of fun to tell my story, and that's why I'm here. You know, I think it's an awesome technology. You know, it's kind of like discovering the first Cervelo R5. You know, I mean, if you want to tell people about it or whatever, the first power meter, and for me, this is it. So I think there's a lot that can be said with improving your eyes, and a lot of people ignore it, but, you know, let's face it, everybody's got a pretty sweet bike out there. Everybody knows training techniques, and a lot of people are figuring out diet now. So how are you going to beat the competitors? Well, I mean, let's simplify it. What comes first? Your eyes. If you don't have your eyes, you don't have anything. So just finding out about it and educating more people after the fact and sharing my story, and I'm pretty excited about it, obviously, that I'm here talking to you, and hope more people learn about it and experience the same thing. And again, it's like a super nice bike, you know. I mean, pretty soon everybody's going to have a super nice bike, so you better have a super nice vision if you want to keep up.
That's great. We appreciate you coming by so much. It's great to see you.